Good evening, welcome back to Interesting Talks with Footprints. I hope that your glass is half full rather than half empty. To new listeners, welcome to the channel. To regular listeners, welcome back. Today's talk is on the signs that you're burned out in life. Do subscribe and leave comments. We all learn from each other. We've had an extremely challenging 2 years, and we had absolutely nothing to prepare us for it, and nothing to prepare for the after effects. Now, burnout is a state of chronic stress that leads to exhaustion, detachment of feelings, and feelings of ineffectiveness. Physical signs of burnout may include chronic fatigue, insomnia, signs of detachment, may present as pessimism or self-isolation. Sufferers of burnout ultimately experience a lack of productivity and poor job performance. Burnout is one of those road hazards in life that high achievers really should keep a close eye out for. But sadly, often because of the I can do everything personalities, they rarely see it coming. Because high achievers are often so passionate about what they want to do, they tend to ignore the fact that they're working exceptionally long hours and taking on exceedingly heavy workloads and putting enormous pressure on themselves to excel, all of which may make them ripe for burnout. So what is burnout? We hear about it in the press, but what is it in real life? Burnout is a state of chronic stress, and it leads to physical and emotional exhaustion. That we can all understand. Cynicism and detachment, feelings of ineffectiveness and lack of accomplishment also attach themselves to burnout. When in the throes of fully fledged burnout, you are no longer able to function effectively on personal or professional levels. However, burnout doesn't happen suddenly. You don't wake up one morning and all of a sudden have burnout. It's a nature of insidious things creeping up on us over time like a slow leak, which makes it much harder to recognize. Still, our bodies and our minds do give us warnings, and if you know what to look for, you can recognize it before it's too late. What are these signs to look for burnout? Well, each one of these areas described is characterized by certain signs and symptoms, although there is an overlap in lots of areas. But these signs and symptoms exist along a continuum. In other words, the difference between stress and burnout is a matter of degree, which means that the earlier you recognize the signs, the better you are able to avoid burnout. Now, if you do something to address the symptoms when you recognize them, you will have a lot better chance of obviously pulling out of the situation. So signs of physical and emotional exhaustion. Chronic fatigue. In the early stages, you may feel a lack of energy or just feel tired most days of the week. In the latter stages, you'll feel physically and emotionally exhausted, drained, depleted, and you may feel a sense of dread about what lies ahead of any given day. You may also suffer from insomnia. In the early stages, you may have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep 1 or 2 nights a week. In the latter stages, insomnia may turn into a persistent nightly ordeal. As exhausted as you are, you just can't sleep. Start to come into things like forgetfulness, impaired concentration and attention, lack of focus, and mild forgetfulness are early signs. Later problems may get to the point where you can't get your work done and everything begins to pile up, which in itself leads to far more other problems as well, as we could imagine. Physical symptoms may include chest pain, heart palpitations, shortness of breath, dizziness, fainting, or even headaches, all of which should be medically assessed. Increased illness because your body is depleted, your immune system becomes weakened, making you more vulnerable to infections, colds, flu, and other immune-related medical problems. Loss of appetite in the early stages may not feel hungry, or you may skip a few meals. In the latter stages, you may lose your appetite altogether and begin to lose significant amounts of weight. Anxiety early on, you may experience mild symptoms of tension, worry, edginess. As you move closer to burnout, the anxiety may become so serious that it interferes with your ability to actually work. Productivity may cause problems in your personal life. And depression. Depression in the early stages may feel mildly sad. You may feel mildly sad, occasionally hopeless, but you may experience feelings of guilt and worthlessness as a result. At its worst, you may feel trapped and severely depressed and think the world would be better off without you. If your depression is to this point, you should seek professional help immediately. Please do. Anger at first may present as impersonal tension and irritability. In the latter stages, this may turn into angry outbursts and serious arguments at home and in the workplace. If anger gets to the point where it turns to thoughts or acts of violence towards family or co-workers, again, seek immediate professional assistance. Signs of cynicism, detachment, loss of enjoyment. At first, loss of enjoyment may seem very mild, such as not wanting to go to work or being eager to leave. Without intervention, loss of enjoyment may extend to all areas of your life, including the time you spend with your family and friends. At work, you may try to avoid projects and figure out ways to escape work altogether. Pessimism, at first, this may present itself as a negative self-talk or moving from a glass half full attitude to a glass half empty attitude. At its worst, this may move beyond how you feel about yourself and extend to trust issues with co-workers, family members, and feeling that you can't count on anybody. Isolation. In the early stages, this may seem like mild resistance to socializing, i.e. not wanting to go out to lunch or closing your door occasionally to keep others out. In the later stages, you may become angry when anyone speaks to you, or you may come in early to leave late to avoid interactions. Detachment. Detachment is a general sense of feeling disconnected from others or from your environment. It can take the form of behaviours described as what I've mentioned previously and result in you removing yourself emotionally and physically from your job and other responsibilities. You may call in sick often, stop returning calls and emails, or you regularly come in late. Signs of ineffectiveness and lack of accomplishment. Feelings of apathy and hopelessness. This is similar to what is described as depression and pessimism. It presents itself in a general sense that nothing is going right or nothing matters as the symptoms worsen. These feelings may become immobilizing, making it seem like, what's the point? Increased irritability. Irritability also often stems from feeling ineffective, unimportant, useless, an increasing sense of that you're not able to do the things effectively or effectively as you once did. In early stages, this can interfere with personal and professional relationships. At its worst, it can destroy relationships and careers. Lack of productivity or poor performance, despite long hours and chronic stress, prevents you from being productive as you once were, which often results in incomplete projects and ever-growing to-do list. At times it seems as if it's hard for you to try to climb upon another pile of work matters. The basics. What is burnout? If you're not experiencing any of these problems, that's great. However, you should keep these warning signs in mind. remembering that burnout is an insidious creature that creeps up on you when you're living a busy life. If you're experiencing some of these symptoms, this should be a wake-up call for you, that you may be on a dangerous path. Take some time to honestly assess the amount of stress in your life and find ways to reduce it before it's too late. Burnout isn't like flu. It doesn't go away after a few weeks unless you make some changes in your life. And as hard as that may seem, it's the smartest thing to do, because making a few little changes now will keep you in the race with a lot of gas for you to cross the finish line. We're about to enter one of the most stressful times of the year, Christmas. Whether we're shopping, meeting up with family, or staying alone, this time of the year has a fair amount of stress attached to it. So let's make a plan of how to proceed. Do share, like, leave comments. I really like to hear what you think. So until 2 weeks' time, take care of yourselves, try to stay positive, and watch out for burnout. Bye for now.